beautiful people of the world, wherever you're joining us from NG Congress. I want to say a good day to you. You are welcome. My name is Olafisoye Tosin, and I will be a moderator for today's Congress, as we yet again discuss practical solutions to existing issues in Nigeria. And joining me today to discuss this topic that we have before us, the power of data, are members of the data team of Hawk NG. You are welcome to the Congress, guys. So quickly, let's meet our panelists. The first on the list is Mesoma, and I hope I get the pronunciation of this right. Mesoma Okolocha. Did I get that right?
Yeah, you did.
All right. Mesoma is a sophomore at Washington and Lee University, majoring in computer science and minoring in data science. He loves machine language, video gaming, and gaining more knowledge about financial literacy. Once again, Mesoma, you're welcome. It's nice to have you on the Congress today.
Thank you.
Also joining us is another seasoned Nigerian youth, one with great intuition and knowledge. He is Farouk Lucky. Lucky is a freshman at Fifth University, majoring in computer science, and he works in the data science team of Hawk NG. And he says he loves football. Lucky, you're welcome.
Thank you, everyone.
I trust you guys are having a great time.
Yes, sir.
I was still waiting for one more panel, Harun, but without wasting further time. Oh, Farouk is here. Hi, Farouk.
Hi guys, how are you doing, everyone?
Welcome. Nice to have you on the Congress today, Farouk. All right, so quickly, before we go into our questions, remember to like our Facebook page, follow us on our Instagram and every other social media handle. Do not forget you can interact with us in this Congress via the chat box beneath live video. So do well to send in your questions, your suggestions, your opinions, and we'll take them at due time. Bone of contention. The topic is, again, what is data and how would you define data? I would like to start with Lucky. Lucky, how do you define data?
Okay, I'll define data as information. You can say data is raw information, but let me give a situation. I come and write ABC on the table. That is data. But what do you do with that? What happens to that becomes information. But anything we see is data, basically. The chair we see is a data, everything we compare it to as a data. But what we transform that data to becomes information.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Lucky. Farouk, can you just chip in a word or two on that? Move on to the next question.
Yeah, so I very much agree with what Lucky said. And but apart from what he said, you can also go forward to ask about the usefulness of data. Data is not just something that is just a number. It's something that could be descriptive and it could be qualitative. So and it could be quantitative, in terms of numbers. It could be in terms of numbers, and it could be in terms of what we can visualize and see. So these are ways we could use data. We could also use it to know more about some other populations, know more about gain insights about some other things. And so there are different ways we can definitely use, but I don't want to because I know you have a lot of questions on things, so I don't want to infiltrate those questions. Yeah.
All right. So Mesoma, I would like to ask you, how would you define good data? Mesoma.
Yeah. I was on mute. So I wouldn't say there is one specific definition of good data, but of course, like when we talk about data, there are some specific things we are looking for. So one of these things that we'll be looking for is like, what can we get, what can we get from the data? Like, what is the information we can get from the data? And another thing we can another thing we can get from this also is like, is it a complete data? Is it a complete set of data? Like, is it complete? Are there missing values? Because when there are missing values, then like you're gonna have a problem like analyzing that specific data set. So another thing you have to think of is like, what elements do they contain, and like how consistent is the data? So for example, if you get a data on like two different states, or like the same state, for example, and then you get one like giving you like one set of values and another one giving you a different set of values, then like there are conflicts between like those two data values from like the same state, and like that's a sign that like maybe like you don't have like a good data. And so another thing also is like, it has to be accurate, and like you need to avoid like duplicates. So I think, summing that up, like good data should have to be like complete, like they should contain elements that they're meant to be, like they should be consistent, and there shouldn't be like conflicts like within like two data sets from like the same location. Thank you.
All right, all right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, I remember speaking with the different groups over the course of the past month, this month that ends today. The education team, the health and social justice team, and even the infrastructure team. And there was one thing consistent with a lot of the issues, and it was data. So I would like to ask, do you guys think data is at the core of development in Nigeria? But first, before we even go into that, is there a data problem in Nigeria? Just a quick answer, yes or no. Mesoma, is there a data problem in Nigeria?
Yes, I think like there's a very huge data problem in Nigeria.
Okay. Okay. So given that, what do you think data is at the core of development for this nation?
Yes, and I'm just going to list a few things like why I think like it is at the core. So for example, like you mentioned, like you talked to like the various sectors like of hack engine, like they mentioned like data. So like for example, talking about like the health sector, for example, currently in Nigeria, like we don't have data that like shows like what is happening in like different locations. So for example, why do we have a high death rate of children under 5 years in Nigeria? Like, what is the cause of this death? Like, what is the number? Like, so if the number has gone up, like, is there any new disease that may like suggest like why this number is going up? And if you like from like the questions I've asked, like you figure out like in Nigeria, like we don't have like the data on this, like we don't have like any track or like record like that like tells us this thing. And so imagine not having like this information or like this data, you find out like we cannot like develop any accurate theory about anything. And if we can't develop an accurate theory about like things that like this that are going on in the health sector, for like to be specific, like we cannot like put in place like any effective solution. So for example, like with all this now, you can just like one thing you will notice, like due to the absence of data, like the health system is like very inefficient. And so if we can like gather enough data, like not just enough data, but like gather useful data, one thing like for example in the health sector, like we'll be able to like improve the quality of life of like every individual in Nigeria. And so like that is just like one example for like the health sector. And I would ask like my other panelists to chip in before like I come into like talk more about this.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think absolutely that we have a data problem.
All
Like
right,
it's
thank you.
not
Farouk,
when
please. Oh,
yeah. Hello.
okay.
Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me?
Go on. Go.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
absolutely we definitely like have a data problem. Like it's not it shouldn't even be like something to even ask, because like if we look at it, like every developed country has a system where they have their data in place, and how they analyze it, how they know what's happening, what to improve from, what they are not doing good and how they can get better from there. So like basically like in this 21st century, the oil is data, and analyzing data is like the combustion engine of the 21st century. Without analyzing your data, I don't think you can develop as a country. And I think that's part of the problem that we have in Nigeria. Like we don't even have data on our population. Like the last population census we did was in 2006, and that wasn't even accurate according to a lot of like reputable organizations. So just that enough is enough to like say, okay, how do we even know our budget is catering for our population? How do we know that like the budget that goes to agriculture is enough for the amount of farmers, which you don't even know if there's enough amount of farmers? How do you know that the budget is enough for like the education system, which is obviously not enough? So these are part of why we have all these problems everywhere. So I think if we can start with like having good and consistent data, then it will go a long way in moving us forward as a country.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much, Farouk. Thank you, Mesoma. I would like to ask further. We understand that yes, there is a data problem. What is the best method to collect data in Nigeria? Farouk, how would you say this is the best method to get the
So
data we need
So personally, I
concerning?
think like collecting data is not it's not a very easy thing, because you have to make sure you get it right in terms of like the amount of data you get. Like sometimes you need a very large amount of data. Sometimes a lot of times actually you need the data to have like to cover every different parts, because for example like in Nigeria there's like Igbos, there's Hausas, there's Yorubas, there's Igala, there's Steve, there's all kinds of people. So you need all those kind of people to figure in your population or in your data, because it could be any kind of data, right? It could be a population data, it could be data regarding how many ethnic groups do we have, how many languages do we have, and things like that. And we also need to like make sure there's consistency. So personally, I don't think there's like a particular way personally like to drive data. I just think you have to get all these values into like consideration, because what works for some places will not work for some place. You can't say you want to take a social media census of a village, because most of the people in the village don't even know what the phone is, right? Or even if they know, they don't care, right? So I think it just has to vary within like places. Like for a university, I think it's very possible to take an online census for that kind of place. So yeah, I would just say it will vary between like it's vary between sometimes just having to go there physically, and having to go there physically I think is intertwined with like making sure there's a very good like transportation system in place, a very good like pathway. Like a lot of the way like houses are constructed in a lot of cities. There's some cities that are very planned, like Abuja is very planned, but there's some cities that are not planned at all. Like, so it will make it very hard for the census or for like data to be collected accurately. And so like yeah, I think some places you just have to go there physically, but there will obviously be some problems which can be solved, but we take a lot of time too.
I want to add something to that. Um, in a country like Nigeria, it will be very hard to track data because there is no like you have said, there's no institution in place in Nigeria that record the data. So in the long run, for this problem to be solved, it will be on the government part and other NGOs to like come up with idea to set up data institution for every state, where the information from healthcare will be tracked, information about road will be tracked and saved. Like this thing has to be kept online and the information should be put in repeatedly. So, but then for us as a company starting up and we want data, we can't wait for that to happen. It's going to take a long time. So the way we can get data now is, Farouk have said something about going to the environment, giving them flyers to fill, stuff like that. We can still use the social media, though it's kind of difficult because a lot of guys don't fill polls online, don't fill surveys. But then social media is one big place to get data from. if there's insensitive or stuff to give to the people filling them. So yeah.
Well, thank you very much for those answers. You've identified the problems in data in Nigeria, and I would like to streamline this a bit. So let's consider the four V's in analyzing big data as put out by edX and Rolls-Royce. Talked about volume, that is the amount of data; velocity, that is how often new data is generated; variety, that is the types of data that make up the data set; and then veracity, talking about the reliability of the data. Lucky, which area do you think is lacking the most in Nigeria, and how do you think we can improve on that?
Okay. I would like you to go over your question again. I'm sorry about that. I didn't get you.
Okay. So we're considering the four B's in analyzing big data. Talking about volume, that is the amount of data; talking about velocity, that is how often new data is generated; variety, that's the third B, talking about the types of data that make up the data set; and then veracity, that's talking about the reliability of the data. So which do you think is lacking, and how do we improve on that area?
I would say all are lacking, but at different degrees.
Wow.
Yeah, all are
Okay,
lacking at different degrees.
absolutely.
So let's start from the volume. Now, I'm trying to get data for the um, Quick Boss team. I threw the survey on my Facebook page, on my WhatsApp, all the social media handle I use. I just put the survey out there. Almost a month's time, 2 months, I only have 32 people filling this survey. And out of pool of almost 3,000 followers and friends that I have online, only 32 people came out to fill this survey. So that information is really low. The volume of the data I'm getting is really low. So for me to like picture out the outcome of that data, it's for 32 people in a country of millions, or it's not going to give me what I want, definitely. So the volume is poor to start. Then if for a long run, let me assume that I got a data set containing 11, a million people, like a million people answered the survey, then I have the data for a million people. So now, that is when we'll now start talking about the variety of the data, if the data is accurate or how accurate the data is. But then for a survey filled by 1 million people, mostly if you visualize the data, it will be telling the truth. There will be some people who would have filled in false information or filled in the information twice, stuff like that. But then in the long run, because of the volume is large, so the errors will be, we can see the errors and quickly remove them because um, they'll come out as outliners, because most people will be telling the truth, then few people can filter them out. So for now, I'll say volume is where to start from, getting enough data.
All right. Thank you very much, Lucky. Mesoma, I would like to ask you the next question. Um, we we saw IBM work with John Hopkins University and the University of California at San Francisco. Diseases like dengue fever, malaria, and others. How important is this for Nigeria, especially in this pandemic? Mesoma.
Can I didn't get your question. Can you repeat your question again?
Do I go over it again?
Yeah, please do.
All right, so I said IBM working with John Hopkins University and the University of California at San Francisco used big data to predict the outbreaks of dengue fever and malaria. And how important important is this for Nigeria and in fact at high risk processes and how important?
Okay. From the question you asked, I'm hearing like, what is the importance of big data, and like based on like the research with the IBM, like how can that help Nigeria? I guess that's the question you're asking. So the first thing I'll start by is like giving like an understanding of what like big data is. So for example, if I tell you to like write down your name and age, like I'm sure that's something you can really do like quickly. Now, if I tell you to like write it for like everyone in your class or like everyone in your school or everyone in your town and like start going up, like write it for everyone in your country, like everyone in the world. Now, this is like millions and millions of people, like billions of people. And like this is something you cannot do, like it's too much. So, but like some computers can do it. And that's what we call like big data. Like they're able to like gather all this information and like process it. And like that's what we call big data. So now moving on to like how you can use this data to like predict diseases like malaria and dengue. The thing is like me and Farouk currently like we worked on a project I think this summer, or we are currently working on a project that started this summer, and like we are using like data sets to predict diseases like diabetes and like pneumonia and like cardiac problems. And so from our research, like we found out a lot of things. And one of the things is like the importance of like these data. So imagine being able to like know like your like what's wrong with you, like if you have a sickness or if you have an illness, like imagine knowing like what is wrong with you, or like what the cause of the problem is before really even going to the doctor. And now coming to a country like Nigeria, we know how inefficient healthcare is. I keep saying this, like healthcare system in Nigeria is very inefficient. So coming to a country like Nigeria, like imagine being able to predict that, oh, I have malaria or I have diabetes before even going to the doctor for like diagnosis. One of these like one thing you will save, like for example, for like people like 70% of the population, like we don't meet like we don't like we're not up to the poverty line. So imagine this 70% being able to like save the costs on like the cost for like diagnosis and going to the doctor, because like they already have a sense of what is going on. Because a lot of times like we hear of stories of we rushed him to the hospital and the doctor couldn't run tests, or they couldn't find out what was wrong with him and he died. So looking into this, like you find out like another thing we get to this, like we got like with this data and like being able to predict disease like this, we'll be able to like save millions and millions of people. Like a lot of people will be saved because like they already know like what is wrong with them. Another thing is like, coming to think of it, it's gonna alleviate like the burden on doctors. Because for example, like the doctors in the country can't like the doctors in Nigeria are not enough like to handle like the problems like people come with every day. That's why you hear of like several patients dying, like because they don't know what is wrong with them, or like doctors cannot attend to them. So this would also help like alleviate like millions, like alleviate like the burden on millions and millions of doctors. And finally, like another thing like it would do is like definitely you need someone to like train like the computer how to do this, to like show the computer what to do with these data sets. So another thing, like you create like like jobs for a lot of like youths, because a lot of youths these days are like learning how to like do data science. Like I'm sure like most of us here are taking courses on data science. So imagine having all this. So the benefits are just numerous, and I just mentioned a few. And like just to go over it, like it's gonna create jobs, it's gonna alleviate like the burden on doctors, it's gonna be cost effective, and it's also gonna say like the most important thing for me here is like saving millions of lives, because there are a lot of people that are not meant to die, but because of the inefficiencies in the healthcare system, like they die. And this is a problem. Like this is something that data, like having good data and having big data can solve for us. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. So, viewers, I would like to remind you that you can like, comment, and share this video. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at hack__ng and on Facebook at hackng. Farouk, let's get back to the questions on ground. We talked about the problems of data. Now we'd like to talk about the solutions. Okay, what do you think is the possible solutions to the data problem in Nigeria so far? Can you give us your opinion on that? What do you think is the best solution So
So
the
I think
data
for me,
problem
I'm
in
going to
Nigeria.
first start from like the top, because I think that like for the youths, there's a lot of people that know about data. There's a lot of people that know about the usefulness of data. So like I'm not saying there's enough people, but there's a lot of people that know about it that are not even using it because there's no employment, no jobs to be able to use the knowledge that they learned, as Mesoma said. So like I think the first solution is for the government and for like the people in power, the people that have all these that have the necessary power to like implement changes, to know that hey, the most important thing to have as a country, I would say it's still like is to have data about your people. Like because you ask even our president and he doesn't even know like data on Nigeria, basically. He's going to approximate, and his approximation will probably not even be very good. To just be based on like estimations. Like you can't estimate so you can't estimate population using 2006 data and expect it to be accurate. And 2006 data wasn't even very accurate. I'm still going to say it. So like I think our government has to start taking data serious, has to start taking like all these things serious, because if the government can take it serious, then at all levels, because data is needed at all levels, defense, agriculture, education, energy, every level, we need to know the amount of data that we have. We need to know, okay, so for instance, like the Ministry of Power, we need to know like the amount of power that we are consuming daily. I'm not sure we know the exact amount because they just give estimations basically, and that's not how it's meant to be. We need to know all these things in order to know how we'll move forward. So, like, if we know that this is the amount of power we had throughout this year, how do we know how we improve? Like, how do we know if we're ever meant to improve? Because obviously we're meant to improve, right? But like sometimes they don't think about it that way, and I think it's just a general Nigerian problem because of like the deep-seated irresponsibility in like the upper echelons of power. So yeah, that's something I would say we should definitely look out for: enlightenment of our heads. And yeah, I also think that I personally I don't feel that, like, I feel that we should educate people, but like you can't educate people without giving them the resources to fish. So I won't put that there now, because I feel like we have enough data scientists that are not even employed. We even have a data society of Nigeria whose job basically is just to increase the enlightenment of data, and I think they're doing a good job. I mean, they're not doing the best job, but you can't expect them to do the best job when there's no resources. Like everyone that goes to
True,
the
true.
everyone that goes to the society to work there and to learn more about it. Like I recently, like, when I, like, last 2 years, I kind of like joined them, but like I didn't see a reason for learning anything, because at the end of the day the job opportunities there were very slim, and the most of the job opportunities I was seeing was just for working abroad. So this is basically leading to like brain drain. Everyone, like, I was working with my uncle on some data sets. The most jobs he was getting, he was working in a university, but he wasn't even focused on the university's job, because the university's job was even like the side gig. So he was using the university's resource. I'm not calling him out. I'm not calling him out. So like I'm just saying that like that's just how it is. There's not much to do as regards Nigeria. So you just have to use your knowledge to another place and just gain it from, and just use it to what will benefit you in the long run. So in Nigeria, people don't just see the use, and it's more of like the it's more like a problem on the part of like the people in power.
I think I agree with you on that. But let's talk about the rising of data analysts in Nigeria. I mean, it's becoming increasingly popular. Like you said, the youths are aware of it, sure, not enough, but degree of aware of the power of data. Do you think that Nigeria?
You have to
Can you
repeat.
come again with
You
your
have to
question?
repeat that. No.
Can you come again with your question? I didn't hear.
Okay. All right. So that. So I said with the rising of data analysts in Nigeria, I mean they're increasing in number, becoming more and more widely accepted in the society. Do you think that that presents some kind of hope for the data situation in Nigeria?
Yeah, I think Nigeria generally is like a very great country in terms of like the youth we have. The youth we have are vibrant. They're looking for what is reigning and they're looking to tap out knowledge from it and be the best from it. So like I personally I don't think our youth are the problem. I think there are ways we could make them better, but it's not like they don't know about these things. They know about these things. Like even cryptocurrencies, you see Nigerians investing in it. You see Nigerians investing in stocks. You see Nigerians investing in like everything that is raining. Like they just want to like make it better for themselves, right? So the problem I don't think is with Nigerians. There are ways we could better them for sure, yeah. But I like at the end of the day, if I am doing medicine and at the end of the day I'm going to be sitting at home, it doesn't make sense for me. It's not beneficial to me. So I'll go and look for the next best thing to do basically because I know I don't have connections. I know I don't have these. So like I think the system deep seated is just so poor that people that are data analysts are not likely to work for Nigerian government. They are more likely to look for offshoring opportunities where they can work with, say, Google, Microsoft, or like big companies, and they are ready to run out sharp very, very fast. So I don't think it's the lack of knowledge of these things, as I said. I don't think it's the lack of like people that know these things. I think it's just the lack of opportunities for them when they know these things to utilize them. Because as I said, like I know a lot of people that know data science that are not using it. So they know it and you're not using it, then it's definitely going to go at some point. And you can't blame them. It's only when you have opportunities that you can be able to use what you have. So it's a deep rooted problem. But I also think that what could also solve it apart from like government is like if we start like people that are knowledgeable and also have money start investing in the private in the technology aspect of Nigeria. I think that will go a long way in like employing these kind of people and using data to maximal effect. Even though obviously that will not be the end goal of what we want. What we want is for the government in general, right? But if the private institutions are taking the priority to set up organizations, technological like fields, like all these kind of like big companies. If you have big companies that can be relevant to Nigeria, like that can be Nigeria's own. I know we have some, but I think the more they are, the more we increase in our knowledge and in our use of data.
Oh, thank you very much. See, recently, WhatsApp updated the privacy policy, and a lot of people were shouting, "Oh my data! Oh my data! Oh my data!" And all of that. What really is the power of this data? And I would like to hear Lucky's opinion, and then Miss Summers on this before I come back to Farouk. What really is the power of this data that makes people go, "Oh, I'm leaving WhatsApp to Telegram because yeah, they're going to be taking my data or stuff like that." So, Lucky, can you give us your opinion on that? Then Miss Summer follows Farouk.
Yeah, I just feel people are afraid of change. Not that they are afraid of um, WhatsApp taking their data. They are afraid of change. If you remember the time when Google changed their Gmail color, it was red and white. Then they changed it to green, yellow, and red, different mix of colors. People are complaining that they prefer the old one, but now all those things have died off now, and people are like now appreciating the new color. So, but then people these people who are complaining about WhatsApp taking their information use Snapchat, use TikTok, use Facebook. They put their data there, they put their information there. So why are they not scared of WhatsApp? Why are they thinking WhatsApp are going to just take their data and do something? So the agreement is that people misunderstand or misunderstood what WhatsApp are trying to do. They are trying to create an environment and they want to improve on their product for the users. So they are taking this data to make the user interface for the app very nice, improve on it for the users. They are not trying to steal this information and probably take it somewhere else. No, that's not what the agreement is on. Like it's a change of new policy and for improvement of the user interface of the app.
All right. So, Mesoma, can you tell us? Okay, yes, they are taking this, but what is the power of this data? Or like,
Yeah.
what hold does it have? How much power does it have? That makes it very important.
Okay. So one thing we know, like with in this digital age that we are in, like the more data you have, the more powerful you are, and that is facts. And like we see companies like Google, Amazon, like Facebook, like those are powerful companies. And like why are they powerful? Because like they have data, like they have data on like everything, like literally now, like the way like Google is going now, like your phone is like the one that like tells you, oh, you did this on this day, you went to church on the other day, or you went, like your phone knows like all that about you. And so imagine your phone knowing like all these things about you, and your like computer knowing all this information about you. And imagine your phone going into like the wrong hands, like your phone going to like someone is not meant to be. So imagine like what that person can do with your phone. Like they don't have you, but they have your phone. And so if you're talking about the power of like how valuable this data is, like it is like really, like it is like really valuable. And like Farouk said, like it is like the oil of like our current, like it's the oil of our time now. And so the power of this data is like, so the thing is like like what it can be used for can go both ways. So on one hand, as Lucky was saying, like is to help help the users and like make better suggestions, like give better feedbacks, and like help develop their products in like better ways. On the other hand, it can be used like to like get information about someone illegally or like legally. Like it can be used to like know things about you that they are not meant to know. But like in the general sense, like we see like it has helped like prevent a lot of things. For example, like now in the US, like if there's a terrorist attack or something, or if like there's a tip off or like something like that is going to go wrong, social media is one place they check, because they know they can find data on like people. And like once they get your data, like they'll be able to track you to like different places. So if we're talking about how powerful this is, like it is very, very powerful. And like relating it to Nigeria now, this is something like we don't have. Like with like as we've been saying like current like since, like we don't have this data, like we don't have institutions that deal with this. So on like comparing ourselves to like other great nations and like other nations that like people like want to be like, this is something we need. Like this is why like we need data. We need to like, you need data to be able to like match up with these other people and like match up with these other countries. And like with more data, like we'll be a more progressive country in general. So I think like in general, like it is very powerful, and like it is something that everyone needs. And so like regarding like the WhatsApp policy, like I think that is not really that like that shouldn't be a fear like of people, like for people. Although like everyone needs to be careful about like what information they put out there, because it is always like it can always be used like, and like it can always be used against you or used for you. So it goes both ways. That's the summary of this.
All right. Thank you very much. So, Farouk, I would like the power of data. Mesoma just said that powerful data makes powerful companies. I would like to know, powerful countries, can we make powerful countries from powerful data as well? Since we make powerful companies from powerful data, can we make powerful countries from powerful data, Farouk?
Yeah, definitely. I think like all the relevant countries that you know about now, they have very very good data analytics in place. Like you can't go to the US or the UK or Russia, even though Russia is not maybe developed in terms of a lot of people's perspective. If you go to China, Japan, and you ask them about like just a general question, how many people are in this city, I think it will be very easy for anyone to tell you. I'm not sure the same can be said about Nigeria. So like that alone, like it might sound very simple, but that alone is important to know about. Look, okay, is this place developed? Because like if you don't know how many people are here, how will you be able to know the amount of like people that commute between the place enough to build good roads, enough to know whether you're meant to build a train system to accommodate people if the bus is not enough. Or so like these are things that data helps drive. So it helps to give you insights on like what to do, how to do, and when to do it. So like I think definitely like good data is very important for economy. I also had an answer to like the privacy question, but I think that's passed. So yeah.
Okay. If you could wrap that in 2 minutes, we don't mind.
Yeah, definitely. So I generally think that like what WhatsApp is doing is not, I mean, it's not the best, but at the end of the day, like all these big companies, I think this data issue is like more than them. Like I think they weren't like overly prepared, because like at the end of the day, no one was prepared for the way data has advanced within the past like decade rather. Like it has advanced so much that every single company has to have a data. Every single big company has to have like a data analytics aspect in order to move forward. So like I think because like if you see when Mark Zuckerberg and like all these guys are going for like Senate hearings on the ethical concerns as regards Facebook, sometimes they are clueless, and it's not because it's not because they are not smart. Because of course these guys, they built Facebook, they went to Harvard, they went to Yale, they went to all the best schools of this world, so they're smart. It's just that like the way data has gone, it has brought about some privacy concerns, which they probably did not even envisage. So like I'm not saying that this company should be banned or something, but I think if you're someone that care about your data very well, then there are things you can do to like not expose yourself, because at the end of the day, none of those things online are very, very secure. Like I heard that people that develop a lot of these apps, like their children, they make sure their children are not on these apps. So like it's like I'm not lying. Like it's literally a documentary I watched. So it's like it's to bring about like why are these people not making their children use these apps that they are building? Like it doesn't make sense, right? So like that's just like one of those things that I'm just like thinking about. If you care really about your data, I would just say like just forget about it. Like, but what WhatsApp recently did, I just think is a normal thing that a lot of big companies have been doing. It's not something new. Like you agree to literally everything they tell you to agree to without even reading it. Do you think there's some privacy concerns there? So it's just a general phenomenon that is happening to us in recent times. If you really care about your data, then start using Nokia Tonosobe, or what do you call it?
Okay. Thank you very much, Farouk. I think when we look at it, data is more than just numbers. There's the quality of data. There's the qualitative data rather than there's the quantitative. The quantitative talks about the numbers. The qualitative talks about more in-depth analysis. And uh, right about now, we'll be going into our Facebook comments to hear the reaction of our online viewers. But before that, I would just like to chip this in. For a country really to say this is the next step we're going, we have to define first of all where we are. And that's where data comes into play. Where are we? What do we have? What have we achieved? Where are we going and how do we get there? Talking about some numbers on the computer, we're saying, I want to by say this is our 7 point agenda. By 2023, we want to have 500,000 youths employed. To get there, you have to first know how many youths are employed, how many youths get enrolled in the university, how many are going to graduate by 2023. That is data. That is the data we're talking about. All of these numbers, all of this information. That's how a country advances by knowing what it has, where it wants to go. So the bridge between where you are and where you want to go is how much data really you have about those two events. So let's go to our Facebook. I will pick out some comments here. Now, Fortune Emmanuel King says, I think there is not enough competition within the nation for companies and startups to see the need to compete for data to get ahead. And I would like us to talk about that. So just keep that on hand. And then second will be taking a country without data really does not know what its problems are. And without knowing what your problems are, how do you get a solution? Seen by Fortune Emmanuel King. He also said data jobs can greatly increase employment in Nigeria. So thank you, Emmanuel King. Hack NG quoted Farouk saying data is the crude oil of this decade. So let's go back to this comment by Fortune Emmanuel King. He says he thinks there is not enough competition within the nation for companies and startups to see the need to compete for data to get ahead. Do you think that's the case? I mean, when we talk about developed countries, it's these companies that actually, these private companies that actually source the data. And I think someone mentioned it that, yes, Farouk, you mentioned it, that we need private companies to get into this, into getting data. I think Lucky said something too about that. What do you think? How do you react to this? That there are not enough competition within the nation for companies and startups to see the need to compete for data?
I think yeah, I think there's not like there's no there's not a lot of like companies that are very like big in terms of technology that do a lot of technological stuff. Because if there is, then there will be need to analyze data a lot. There will be need for a data analytics department, obviously, like automatically. So like because for the most part, like a lot of our data analysts in Nigeria are just like they are looking for offshoring opportunities. They're looking for ways they will just go abroad and go and use their knowledge to gain to gain money or to gain whatever it is they want to gain in life. So like if there was a lot of companies, I know there are some, like I said, but if there was a lot of companies that was focused on like Nigeria and not necessarily Nigeria, but like that was like based in Nigeria and doing everything out of Nigeria, then this will obviously create a lot of employment opportunities because as we can see, like for people that have gotten into Google and people that have gotten into Microsoft, people that have gotten into some other companies, these people are employing a lot of data scientists because they need a lot of data scientists to manipulate their data and to analyze and to give them insights on how to improve. So like definitely we have a lot of like technological companies. These will lead to more jobs and better use of our data. And I think the government even will start taking notice because they won't have a choice. By the time a lot of issues start arising, like a lot of ethical issues start arising, they will be forced to take a stand and forced to like reckon with data. Because right now they don't really reckon with it. Like all these WhatsApp privacy issues, I think it should first come towards the Nigerian government first before any other person. But I'm not sure they care a bit about it, which is sad, but it's the reality.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Farouk. Okay, so for me, really, I do not think we necessarily need technological company to get data running, and I would agree with Fortune on that. I mean, if there are if you're selling say perfumes and you want to know the number of people that use perfumes, say you're selling men's perfume, obviously you would have to go get how many men are within my community, how many men are within my reach, how many of them use colognes. That way, you help to analyze the number of people you have in, say, your street. You've gotten population data. Females, you've got, for this thing, because, of course, female wears come in age groups as well. So, yeah, 18 to 25 and all of that. So, it doesn't necessarily have to be technological companies. Really, there's not enough competition here. People just keep, the end of it is we just keep recycling customers between people. Nobody's really looking for new customers. Unlike these other companies, they are reaching out. How did people get to Nigeria? Okay, we're bigger than here. So let's expand. Let's go off where we already are. Let's get to other places. And I think when companies start to look at that, you're going to make profit, one, and you're going to actually help the nation. So look out for, okay, where are people? You make shoes. Where are people not having shoes? Okay, where are they going to need these shoes? Where are the young people? Where are the old people? Who am I making my shoes for? Is it for students? That way we know, okay, yes, there are this number of students. And that data is readily available for anyone to be. Of course, you can lay claim to data that you get, but you've helped get this, you've helped sample data, and I think private companies really should look into that, getting more data about not just existing customers, but prospective customers as well. You don't have to be a technological company to do that. Um, we're running out of time and we still have quite a while to go. We've not talked about our data might. So, but I would love that we have more questions. You put them in the chat box, and I trust that our panelists will look at them after the Congress is over and we will drop our responses accordingly. We'll take one more question before we close in this Congress, and that is talking about data myths, really, data mites rather. Um, there is this myth that you can always trust data. I'll just like everyone to speak in 1 minute. Can we really always trust data? I'll start with Mesoma. Please, 1 minute. Can we trust data and why or why not? Mesoma, let's go. 1 minute.
So first thing, like there's nothing that like can be completely trusted. That's one thing that should be gotten. So like we cannot fully say 100% we trust data, because first of all, like there can be inefficiencies with the data, there can be inconsistencies with the data, and also like the thing is like it is even us humans that make the analysis on this data, and like that make like recommendations and all this, like that work on this data. So humans are not perfect, and we know that. So we saying that like, okay, we can 100% trust data. I don't think that is the truth. So I don't think we can completely trust data.
Thank you very much. Lucky, what's your take on that?
I'll say I will trust the data 100% if and only if I can trust everyone to give me 100% information and to impute this information correctly 100%. That's every time. So, but since I can't trust people to impute this data for me efficiently, or probably I can't trust them to a point that I will say, okay, these people give me the correct information every time, then I won't trust that data because I don't trust the people. Because I believe at some point they might break the system, they might do something wrong, and yeah, the data will be wrong also. So I can't trust the data 100%.
Yeah, I think it's the job of a good I can go, right? Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, I think it's the job of a good data analyst to know, because if you are given a very good data, that's the first thing. If there's a very good data, then a good data analyst should be able to give us data that we can trust to some extent. Obviously, not 100%, but I think we can be able to trust it 99% at least, because the data analyst will be able to see if that data that he got can be trusted. Because if it's large, you definitely see some inconsistencies. So I believe it just depends on the person analyzing. And I think this is where education and enlightenment comes in. Like we should make sure that our data analysts are very, very they're very, very educated and know what they're doing. So I think if the data is like if it's inconsistent, even if a good data analyst should be able to know that, okay, yeah, this data is not consistent and we can't trust this data.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for your witty contributions. Thank you for showing up today for the Fourth Hack NG Congress. And with this, we'll come to the end of another Congress. I'm really grateful to all our viewers, to all that dropped a comment or two in the chat box, to our panelists, to Farouk, Mesoma, and Lucky. Thank you very much for being here today and for giving it your best. Want to encourage every Nigerian youth to keep looking out for the best in the nation. Nigeria is ours. We are the leaders of tomorrow, but tomorrow not planned for, really cannot really be entered into. So let's keep all of this that we've learned to heart. Remember, data is the crude oil, like Farouk said, data is the crude oil of this decade. It's the combustion engine of a country. So let's look forward to getting proper data so we can move our country forward. Once again, I remain your host, Olafisoye Tosin. Until we meet in the next Congress, thank you and God bless. Enjoy the rest of your day.